Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this class we are going to see the chapter 1 in class 7th science, that is nutrition in plants. So let's begin with the chapter. In class 6th you learned that food is essential for all living organisms. So in class 6th we have learned that food is very essential for all living organisms to lead life. You also learned that carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, and minerals are the components of foods. So, we have learned that carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals are the components of food. These components, that are carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals, they are also known as the nutrients, and they are very essential or necessary for our body. All living organisms require food. So, as we all know, all living organisms require food. Plants can make their own food by themselves, but animals, including humans, cannot make their own food. So, here, animals can make their own food by themselves, and animals, including we humans, we cannot make our own food, right? And they get it from plants or animals that eat plants. So we humans and animals get our food from plants or other animals which eat plants, right? Thus humans and animals are directly or indirectly dependent on plants. So in this way, humans or animals are directly or indirectly dependent on the plants. Okay, Buju wants to know how plants prepare their own food. So in this chapter we are going to learn how do these plants prepare their own food. Mode of nutrition in plants. So let's begin. Plants are the only organisms that can prepare food for themselves by using water, carbon dioxide, and minerals. So, in this whole earth, plants are the only living organisms which can make their own food by themselves using water, carbon dioxide, and minerals present in their surroundings. The raw materials are present in their surroundings. So, these raw materials, that are water, carbon dioxide, and minerals, they are present in their surroundings. The nutrients enable living organisms to build their bodies, to repair damaged parts of their bodies, and provide energy to carry out life process. So the nutrients, that are the components of food which we have studied: carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. These enable the living organisms to build their body, right? And they help us to grow and to repair our damaged body parts, and they also provide us energy through which we can carry out our daily life process. So as we are studying the chapter that is nutrition in plants, it is necessary for us to learn what is nutrition. So nutrition is the mode of taking food by an organism and its utilization by the body. So what is nutrition? An organism takes in food, right? So an organism in which takes food into its body and it utilizes that food, right? So that process is known as nutrition. Okay, so nutrition is the process of taking food by an organism and its utilization by the body. The mode of nutrition in which organisms make food themselves from simple substances is called autotrophic. So the mode of nutrition in which organisms make food themselves from simple substances present in their surroundings are known as autotrophic. And the autotrophic comes from two words, which means auto means self and trophos means nourishment, and therefore the plants which come under this autotrophic nutrition, they are known as autotrophs. Okay, animals and most other organisms take in food prepared by plants. So these animals and most other organisms take in food prepared by the plants, and these are called as heterotrophs, and this process of nutrition is known as heterotrophic. As this is autotrophic, it is known as heterotrophic. Here I see, and the plants which come under this heterotrophic nutrition are heterotrophs. Okay, Paheli wants to know why our body cannot make food from carbon dioxide, water, and minerals like plants do. So, that is what we are going to learn in this chapter. Now, you may ask that where the food factories of these plants located, whether the food is made in all parts of the plant or in only certain parts, and how do these plants obtain the raw materials from their surroundings, and how do they transport all these raw materials to the food factories of plants. So we are gonna get answer for all of these questions in this chapter. So the second topic is photosynthesis, food making process in plants. So I think you studied about photosynthesis in class 6th as well. So we are going to study in about photosynthesis in class 7th briefly, okay? So which are the food factories of plants, right? We got a question above. So leaves are the food factories of plants. Therefore all the raw materials must reach the leaf, right? And these water and minerals present in the soil are absorbed by the roots and transported to the leaves through stems, okay? So water and minerals are very essential for the food making process in plants, right? So the water and minerals are in the soil, and these water and minerals are absorbed by the roots and they are transported to the leaves, okay? Carbon dioxide from air is taken in through stomata. So the carbon dioxide which is present in the air, it is taken in through the tiny pores present on the surface of the leaves. So carbon dioxide, that is CO2, it is present in the air or in the atmosphere, right? So it is taken in through the plants into plants through tiny pores which are present on the surface of the leaves. So these are some of the tiny pores which are present on the leaves, and they take the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere or the air. And these pores, these tiny pores which are called stomata, are surrounded by guard cells, okay? They are surrounded by guard cells. And now before moving further, here we have some extra information about cells. So let us go through it. Cells. You have seen that buildings are made up of bricks, right? So while making a building, you may have seen that they are made up of bricks, right? By fitting every brick. So similarly, in that way, the bodies of living beings are also made up of many tiny units which are known as cells. So a cell look like this, okay? So these cells can only be seen under microscope. So how can we see these cells? We can see them under the microscope. Some organisms are made up of one cell, okay? So some of the organisms are made up of only one cell, and the cell is enclosed by a thin outer boundary called the cell membrane. And these cells are enclosed by a thin outer boundary which is called as cell membrane. Most cells have a distinct centrally located spherical structure called nucleus, and most of the cells children have a distinct centrally located spherical structure which is called as nucleus. And this nucleus is also known as the control center of the cell. All the processes which takes in cell is controlled by this nucleus. The nucleus is surrounded by a jelly-like substance which is called as cytoplasm. Okay, so the nucleus is surrounded by a jelly-like substance which is called as cytoplasm, and we are going to learn about the cells in class 8 briefly. So this is a picture of cell, and this you can see here. So this is known as nucleus, and the jelly-like structure which surrounds the nucleus is known as cytoplasm, and the thin outer boundary which protects the cell is known as cell membrane. Okay. So Bhujo wants to know how water and minerals are absorbed by roots reach the leaves. So here Bhujo wants to know how the water and minerals absorbed by the roots reach the leaves. So let's see now. Water and minerals are transported to the leaves by the vessels which run like pipes throughout the root, the stem, the branches and the leaves. So these water and minerals are transported to the leaves by stem, and in the stem there will be pipes. There will be vessels which will be in the shape of pipes, and they run throughout the roots and the stem, and they run through the branches, and they finally reach the leaf. Okay, so they form a continuous path or a passage for the nutrients to reach the leaf, and these vessels, they make a continuous path or a passage for the nutrients to reach the leaf, and they are called vessels. What are they called? They are called vessels. You will learn more about transport of materials in plants in chapter 11. So in the same class we are going to learn about transport of materials in plants. How does it takes place in chapter 11? Paheli wants to know what is so special about leaves that they can synthesize food but other parts of plants cannot. So here Paheli is wondering that why the process synthesis of food takes place only in the leaves but not in the other parts of plants. Why? So let's see the answer for it now. So the answer is leaves have a green pigment called chlorophyll. Why? Because the leaves have a green pigment called chlorophyll, and this chlorophyll is the reason why leaves appear green. Okay, so this chlorophyll helps the leaves to capture the energy of the sunlight. As sunlight is very essential for photosynthesis, chlorophyll which is present in leaves helps them to capture the energy from sunlight, and this energy is used to synthesize. Synthesize is nothing but to prepare food from carbon dioxide and water, as I have told you. Since the synthesis of food occurs in the presence of sunlight, it is called as photosynthesis. So as the synthesis means the preparing of food occurs in the presence of sunlight, it is known as photosynthesis. So photo is nothing but light. Photo means light, and synthesis means to prepare. Okay, so we find that chlorophyll, sunlight, carbon dioxide and water are necessary to carry out the process of photosynthesis, right? So now we got to know that chlorophyll, sunlight, carbon dioxide, that is CO2, and water, that is H2O, are necessary to carry out the process of photosynthesis, right? And this photosynthesis is one of the unique process on the earth. The solar energy is captured by the leaves and stored in the plant in the form of food. So the solar energy from the sun is captured by the leaves and it is stored in plant in the form of food. So thus we can say that sun is the ultimate source of energy for all living organisms. Okay, sorry, can you imagine life on the earth in the absence of photosynthesis? Can we imagine the life? No, because in the absence of photosynthesis there would not be any food. Because in the absence of photosynthesis there would not be any food, because we are plants need this process of photosynthesis to make food, and we are directly or indirectly dependent on plants for food. The survival of almost all living organisms are directly or indirectly dependent upon the food which are made by the plants. Besides oxygen, which is essential for the survival, so the oxygen which is essential for the survival of all organisms is produced during photosynthesis. So oxygen, that is O2, which is essential for all living organisms to survive, is produced during this process of photosynthesis. And in the absence of photosynthesis, life would be impossible on the earth. Okay, next we will see in the next class how will this photosynthesis process take place. Okay, so for today it's enough. Okay, in the next video we shall continue. Thank you.